wanna make sound. I wanna change everything. I wanna know it, feel it, take it all. I wanna fix everything. But the hardest part of this is to take who you are and change what you need. Stuck in a place you're not meant to be. Take all your doubts, take it from me. You made Jordan James, now be the release. I wanna scream out, 'cause I can't stand this wait and see. 'Cause I've been way down, way too long. There's still a pulse in me. But the hardest part of this is to take who you are and change what you need. Stuck in a place you're not meant to be. Take all your doubts, take it from me. You made Jordan James, now be the release. Who let you down? Who let you down? There is no easy way out. Who let you down? Who let you down? The right words, the wrong time, a hard look at the hard lines. Who let you down right now? There is no easy way out. Take who you are and change what you need. Stuck in a place you're not meant to be. Take all your doubts, take it from me. You made Jordan James, now be the release. Who let you down right now? Who let you down? There is no easy way out.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Geek 2.0 show, podcast, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. We're up to whatever you want to call us.
Listen to two grumpy old men mumble about things.
Yellow clouds. If you might have noticed something if you're watching the videos, I mean, something hasn't changed.
I don't know what that
I
is.
don't know. Here, do this.
Oh, you got hipper?
I got keeping it real for the kids, yo. Going to says yeet this all over the place.
Sure.
Anyway, let's get back on topic. We just started. Welcome. As if you don't know, we are two grumpy old people. Actually, today's episode, we're going to be talking about some cool stuff about vlogging and tie in from the last episode with social media or the social video media and digital gaming.
Mm-hmm.
This is our main topic today. Let's go ahead and jump into the big thing with vlogging. If you don't know what vlogging is, obviously you haven't looked on YouTube. Well, you never.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not really big on. I know what vlogging is, but I'm not really. I wouldn't say looked on YouTube because you can look on YouTube for all kinds of things. And
True.
not really be vlogging.
Well, what vlogging is basically, if you know what blogging is, you're writing out a blog. Say,
It's a digital diary.
yeah, it's a video digital diary.
Well, vlogging is. Blogging is
Blogging
a digital
is a digital diary. Yeah.
diary.
It's people are going around recording themselves throughout their whole life. Say they're going to a theme park or on a boat ride, or they're going to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything, any part of their life that they want to live stream, or save and record for later on YouTube. That's what they're going to be doing. That's what vlogging is, pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah.
One aspect is that lately there's been some grumblings from the general populace that don't really have know it all of what exactly is going on, and
It's that gray area.
the gray area, because you have the general public and then you also have the vloggers, and I'm going to also include, we're part of content creators as well.
Sure.
That group in between, basically fighting out between each other.
Mm-hmm.
One aspect is because just recently, within the last month or two, we had an issue where a local family that has a YouTube channel, they vlog pretty much their daughter's entire lives and themselves. They have two daughters. One is actually just going into middle school, and the other one is just going into high school. The issue came about when, during an orientation day, they decided to record the entire day. When I guess they released their episode on YouTube, and people who were following them, or all of a sudden it's exploded on Twitter and Facebook and all that, people rose up in arms saying, this is an invasion of privacy. Why are they doing this in a public school? Hence the term public school. We'll get into that later. They're saying because it's now going to give ammunition to school shooters. This is going to basically end the world for all eternity. Unfortunately, that's where the gray area enters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you have a right to record on a public domain or public space.
Correct.
You do not have right to video record within certain areas within that public area, like a bathroom, or I want to say even in a school teacher's office or administrator's office, because there's an expectation of privacy in those areas.
Well, it depends on where you are at. If you are walking the streets,
Oh yeah.
that is open public Wild West, if you will.
Oh, it is.
When it comes to that. And yeah, as someone who may not want to be recorded, unfortunately, you don't have many rights.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. Well, no, you have rights.
I said
you
many. You don't have many.
No, you
rights.
still have rights. You don't have a choice. You can go up to that person if you notice them recording. You say, "Please blur my image out," and they will have to. A good content creator would say, "Okay," and then mark it, and then say, "Okay, the time code is whatever this is," and then go from there, because you've on video, or they can pretty much take that whole aspect out, that section out, and just delete it.
Mm-hmm.
But you've told them, I do not want you using my likeness, and they have a legal. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, gray area.
Yeah, this is a gray area, but it's something that we're having to deal with a lot because a lot of people want to get on that YouTube train and make money.
Yeah, they want their
They're
15 minutes in some form or function, basically, and everyone feels that they are entertaining and or have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Hence this podcast.
I don't know about you. I'm branching out, man.
But where it really becomes gray area is when it comes to private public property. So when you have a public place, like let's just say Walmart. So it's a public place, but it's a private business.
It's a private business. And there's issues that a lot of people, a lot of streamers and vloggers have dealt with is that they'll be approached by security or management says, are you filming for, let's say, Walmart? And you answer, no, I am a streamer or vlogger that is doing this. And they'll say, okay, well, we do not allow video recording. Please leave. And that's it. In a story, you leave. A lot of people have said, no, this is public. No, you're wrong. This is a private.
It's an establishment that's owned by a corporation, and they have their own rules that they are allowed
that
to
you
establish.
have to abide by.
Yeah, just I know this is a little extreme, but it's along the same lines of you are not allowed to bring guns into locations that say we do not allow, guns in this location. It's same thing. You are not allowed to record in this location. That is a rule of that business.
Because you can walk around.
No shirt, no shoes.
Yeah,
same thing.
You can walk around a park with a concealed concealed carry, no problems, unless there is posted signs. Unless there's posted signs that says weapons, alcohol.
Well, there's also concealed carry laws, but that's a whole other thing. But it's so when you get to the idea of a public school, because it's got the word public in it, people take it as a public area, but it's not.
Technically,
it's still something, because if it was a public area, you could go there anytime. Anyone can go there. Doesn't matter. That's not the case. You cannot just be some Joe Schmo that walks into a public school at any point in the day that they want.
Nowadays,
it is
It is
very much a county-run
but
business.
It's a public school because it's in the public domain of.
And that's
the
where the gray
taxpayers
area
have paid
comes
for
in.
it. Yeah, that's why we want to do this, because this is actually because I don't do streaming out, but eventually we are setting up to to do remote podcast episodes.
We'd like to.
Yeah. And the thing that we'll have to contend with is because we might be at like someplace and there's be people walking behind us in view. Well, if it's on a public street or something, they can walk behind us, no problem. Until we say, I'm going to delete my footage. It's like, okay. Yeah. And we don't delete it. We just go along. We use it as content.
Where I feel the issue is, and where I feel the responsibility is with the creators, vloggers, whatever you want to call it. I feel the responsibility lands on their shoulders.
It does.
And that they need to be mindful, I should say we need to be mindful that while you may feel you have a First Amendment right, everyone has their own rights, and yours don't trump everyone else's.
All right.
And that if you, let's say in this particular case, about an open house beforehand. So that day is coming up. If you wanted to video vlog it, not just personal record, because that's different. Anyone can personally record. But if you're going to post this out there, you need to contact the school ahead of time and say, hey, we are blah, blah, blah with blah, blah, blah. We are content creators on this social media platform and would like to video blog, the first, the orientation, the open house, whatever, you have to get the school's permission to do it. And then in order to get the school's permission, they in turn have to turn around and tell the parents and all the other ones that this is the case.
Yeah.
Here is, these people are going to be doing this, and they have to give that kind of heads up, because that's the case even outside of social media. Anyone comes into a school. I remember this back in my day of schools before social media. If someone came in and was doing a video, whether it was news, whether it was, was anything, if they were going to be in the schools videoing,
Right.
even though it's public, if they were going to be in there videoing, you had to give written permission.
Yeah, because your likeness is yours. And if there's another reason why, because this all blew up, is because they make money from their channel. So now there's a commercialized aspect to what they do. If it was just one of us just filming,
To show grandparents in
Yeah.
another state,
there is an issue, but it's not as severe as if we decided to sell that segment or that
Correct.
video online. But again, a lot of news channels like to do the feel-good stories within a classroom, like especially at the beginning of the year or beginning of school year. It's like, oh, class is in session, blah blah blah. I'm Tim McGraw from.
Yeah. But
And
that's
then-
why you notice when they do those reports, they're outside, like on the road
they,
outside.
They do inside the classrooms as well.
That's when they've
But they
done
have,
the written,
yeah.
the permission, and they've gone through those steps. Otherwise, you'll see them outside, just outside of the school's boundaries of what the land
Because,
that they own. Even though it's a public space,
Yeah, you have to give.
they are outside and they have to do it. That's why I feel the social media falls in the same realm.
And a lot
Just
of
because
times,
it's considered public doesn't mean that it's
that's
actually
again that's the
public.
gray area, because now because of that, the county that we live in, I don't know if there's the same in other counties, I'm not sure, but it's actually started a groundswell that the county has issued within a no video photography ruling for everybody within the school grounds, unless special events like football games and stuff like that. That again, it's one of those things where it's kind of like a knee-jerk reaction.
Because it's the quickest way to stop it.
It is, because you have helicopter parents and Karens coming up. I know, I love.
Karen's and Kyle's.
Yeah. Well, you know who the Karens are, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I want to speak to your manager right now. You always had that same haircut too.
Well, that's
That's where it come from. Yeah.
well, the Kyle's, it's the male version.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Kyle's. Yeah, anyways.
Anyways,
But they have a male version of Karen's.
but it's one because like we talked about the last episode about social media and bringing community together. It brought a lot of those types that go nuclear because of what happened, and that okay, well now the vocal minority is pressuring school officials and the commissioners and whatnot to do something. Okay, what's the easiest way we can do to shut you guys up? Okay, let's blanket ban it all.
Yeah.
Which it does have ramifications for certain things, because now does that include students? Because our cell phones have video recording as photos is prevalent throughout everywhere. I mean, you look at YouTube, you can go through, type in school and see what comes up. I mean, you got people video recording bullies and fights and all that.
Well, and
would
as-
that ban include them? Would they get in trouble under that ruling?
Technically, yes.
Yeah, they would.
And it also lends into, because you could argue the point of, okay, well, they shouldn't have cell phones out during, class time anyways. Again, I understand. But you also got to look at the aspect of, okay, let's, for the sake of argument, let's say that cell phones were either turned off or, kept in pockets. They were allowed to be on, whatever,
Yeah, in
but
case
they just weren't
emergencies.
out. You know what I mean? Like during school hours. Well, schools have, as we've talked about, have moved more digital, and there's tablets that are being used. There's laptops that are being used.
Oh, yeah,
those all have
iPads and
those all have cameras on
Laptops
them
that have
too.
cameras,
yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean. So, and that's school issued.
somebody woke up. Our supervisors just woke up. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where we're having to baby step into certain things and figure out what exactly has to be done. Because again, we've never gotten to this point where we had to deal with certain things like
uncharted.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And again, it's just one of those things where, as a content creator, you have to understand what the rules are and expectations of another person's privacy.
You have to understand while you have rights, so does everyone
So does
else.
everyone else. And your rights, like you said, do not overwrite another person's.
Correct.
It's a give and take. You have to give and take.
You have to realize that if you are doing something with the expectation of social gain, I guess would be a good way of putting it, then you have to treat it as if you are a business and you have to follow the same rules.
Oh, yeah. Because there is a lot of times where you look on Twitch and the section is called IRL or just chatting. There's a lot of times that you see people out in the world. It's also a big thing that's back in just a couple months ago. Twitch has this big convention. All the content
TwitchCon.
TwitchCon. They come all together in San Diego, and of course the town is inundated with people with streamers, selfie sticks, cameras, constantly. So you cannot go anywhere within miles of this town and the surrounding area without actually being recorded by another streamer. There were some issues. Again, this is Twitch. I mean, this is a whole nother subject where their enforcement of the TOS is, and P blunt is a joke, but to look at how they react to how the streamers react to certain situations. Someone would come up to another person and says, "I don't want to be on camera." And they'll continue. Okay, well, that person just made it known. I do not want to be on camera. You're pushing against their rights. Of course, you're going to get suspended or banned. But it's gray area. We look at context. Okay,
Great.
CEO.
Gray area, and it also takes maturity of the streamer too.
Yeah, and there's not that much maturity on a lot of these people's streams. But that's besides the point. A lot of the times when I watch sometimes some people go in to like a store, do shopping. They're in there for about 20 minutes or so. And they say, doing it, all of a sudden they get a person that comes up to them, says, are you filming for Medjers or whatever that store is? It's like, no. All right, well, our policy is, again, no recording. And what they do, they just simply walk out while still streaming, walking out back to their car. So they understand the rules. And sometimes some people will fight the person for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's
Because
a waste.
they give streamers a bad name because they have that sense of entitlement. It's like, I'm the more important one here, not you.
Yeah, world revolves around me.
Yeah.
Mindset.
It's just one of those things. And then I have to let the supervisor out. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just that we have to deal with.
It's, as we were talking about on the previous episode, it's an evolve. It's something that we're going to evolve and change over time. And just like with standard social media, the streaming social media aspect is going to be something that's going to change as generations grow up. You know what I mean? And it's going to be how we felt about MySpace and social media, how we were first adapters and learning into it. The streaming and social life of, that aspect of it, that's the younger generation. And as they grow and mature with it and the kids grow up with it, it's going to be kind of that same concept. It's just going to take time.
Well, now also it's just a big thing, especially in like England, is that culture over there is kind of, you know what, I forget the number, but there is so many cameras per person within, like, this is the city of London, that you are constantly under surveillance. So your privacy, of course, there's completely different rules between two different countries here. So let's take that in effect, that your sense of privacy is completely non-existent, I want to say, when you're walking down the street. So someone can record you, like a building security cameras can record you if you decided to get drunk one night and then you're walking down the street and decide to get in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that evidence can be used against you.
Oh, it's the same thing here. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot of outside security cameras.
But a lot of times, people in this country see a camera as something that's like evil or it's not good. It's like, well, there's something that's invading my privacy. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, it actually, it's funny. It makes me think of, I think it was a Black Mirror episode where everyone was kind of recording everything, but it was through implants, basically. And there were certain conditions or situations where people could be blurred out. And it was just kind of just done naturally. And of course, there's always the Black Mirror spin on it.
Yeah,
but
that makes it so great.
but it's interesting because I do know that there is technology out there that can detect like wireless cameras, if you will, kind of getting into the more like spy gadgety, kind of aspect of it. But it will detect wireless cameras. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was a way of having a device or something that you could wear that would blur your image or, or alter it or something like that. So you could have that kind of privacy, but then it leads into, it's almost the, technological face mask when it comes to robbing a bank. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
pretty much. Well, then again, it's okay. Then if you're a bank, then your cameras can supersede that privacy.
yeah.
Then that overwrites what you have. So it's kind of like you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Correct.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that I look at is like in the content creator aspect, the side of things is what would we as a show under the Geek 2.0 and the Collective Network, what we are expecting of ourselves and everyone else when these things are happening, that these bad actors, because the sense of entitlement is kind of ruining. That's why we can't have nice things, because of these people.
It's always the case, but again, that's where the maturity and the learning will come into play. It's like we talked about on the previous, it's the same thing. It started out Wild West and just everyone realized, oh hey, look what I can do with this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And look, people are reacting to it. Oh, well, this is awesome. It's the same concept, just now it's video based instead of keyboard based.
Now, so especially with if you get money involved, it's another level on top of that.
Yeah, so it's the same concept, and it's just something that it's going to take time, and it's whether or not, hopefully, our generation learns from our experiences of the keyboard aspect of it, and doesn't take extremes when it comes to the video aspect of it. Who knows?
I mean, it's something that we have to deal with. It's like you said, it's uncharted territory, and for now, especially living in this county, I am having to look at different ways of how I act. Like if I go to where my daughter has an event, like do I bring just my cell phone or do I bring my camera, actual DSLR? And would I be viewed as something completely different? Because a lot of people don't look at a DSLR as innocent thing. They see, but a lot of people look at a phone completely different from a DSLR.
See, it's funny. I feel the opposite personally. If I saw someone with the DSLR, I would look at it more as a photography aspect of it, not necessarily someone trying to, stream, vlog, make money. But if someone's got the cell phone camera out, to me, that's more they're out there. Again, it depends how they're using it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to me, I look at that more so as, are they just taking pictures or are they out there trying to, stream or whatever? Not that I've got any personal preference to it either way.
Well, no, it's like even if I'm
mindset
not
goes
streaming
more-
or anything, it's like with the DSLR, because not that many people see DSLRs nowadays. There's
Correct.
a few of us that still care because we like the picture
quality,
quality and everything. And it's just, we have more finer controls over the final product.
Yeah.
And then of course the DSLRs is, nowadays it's kind of they're neck and neck between
Oh, they're definitely getting there.
yeah.
They are definitely.
But
getting
you can
there.
have so much more availability with DSLR. We covered that in another episode. The family, I forget which number it was, but you can check it out in our links.
Look through our back catalog.
I'll throw it back catalog. It's one of those things because a lot of people don't have. That's the thing is a lot of people don't have experience with this particular aspect of this way of life now. They look at some, like I said, like some kind of foreign invader, because you got this huge camera. If you got a nice long lens, because you're sitting in the back, you're not going to with a phone. You're not going to get close to a stage
Again.
without noticeable a lot of noise and graininess.
Technology's getting better.
I know, but night sight, you still also need a tripod or a monopod. And I'm the only one that goes in with my kit, my backpack, and I'm that guy. But it's just one of those things that people aren't used to it. This new thing of life is that you see, especially at theme parks. Theme parks are like the mecca for vloggers and content creators.
Well, and it's funny because if I remember correctly, that was also one of the biggest downfalls of Google Glass. Was because of the constant
Yes,
recording
that's-
everywhere, and
And then
people
it got
did
issues
not like it.
in the bar that fights
Yeah.
broke out.
Yeah, and people didn't like the fact that they were being recorded and all, or didn't know
Yeah,
if they
because
were
there
being
was
recorded.
Because with any kind of video recorders, there's usually that red light on the end to let the world know, hey, I'm recording you.
Yeah.
Watch out.
So it's interesting because it's definitely becoming a world where that is going to take precedence. Like I could see Google Glass coming back, maybe not Google Glass specifically, but that kind of wearable technology is, could and should, in my opinion, come back.
Well, you say that because Google Glass is not really dead per se. It's dead in the public eye.
Hibernating.
Well, no, it's dead in the public eye, but in the industrial side of things, it's actually still alive. And I'm not going to say thriving, but there is a market for it. And even then, I saw a patent on Apple is looking into a Google Glass type of wearable device.
So I'm saying it'll make its way back. Absolutely.
And Google was kind of ahead of its time by at least I want to say by a decade.
Oh, easily. Well, it's a lot of those big manufacturers, or I guess I shouldn't even say big manufacturers because it's really any of them, but a lot of them do make those kinds of steps. It actually makes a good segue here because you got, Google was ahead of its time with that. And while there were people that tried, other companies that tried to hop on the bandwagon and come with their own version. I think it was what Snapchat had glasses.
Yeah, the spectacles or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think it was called that. Yeah.
So I mean,
Ugly things.
Yeah, which they tried going more stylized. That was kind of their angle.
Well, they kind of kicked themselves in the butt because they couldn't give them away. They had like warehouses full of this stuff, and it's like I think they tried selling. I think they were selling when they first came out like $200 or almost $300. But they tried bargain basement price of sub $100. No one's like, no, thank you.
But there's that, and then you have like Microsoft with the Xbox. A lot of people were commenting on the sales aspects of the fact that PlayStation 4's sales are so much higher than Xbox, and everyone's like, "Oh, Xbox is failing," blah 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 blah. But what they don't realize is that Xbox has been putting all of its effort into the user experience, I guess you could say, aspect of gaming, whereas PlayStation was focused and is focused on its console specific big hit titles.
Right.
And the whole reason that their sales are so much higher was because if there is a game or a game series that you enjoy and that you like, you would have to buy the PlayStation to play it. Plain and simple. That's it. You
Yeah,
have
because
no
there's no
choice.
other way to.
Yeah.
Like certain games, like Last of Us, you can't. When it first came out, you couldn't get anywhere else. You had to have a PlayStation.
Correct. I'm trying to think. Was it Final Fantasy? I think had something. I don't know. I'm not as big in the PlayStation as I used to be.
Yeah, one of our JRPG fans probably say no, that was on the.
But this I guess we can call it this console segment, if you will, the period of time that the consoles have been out is coming to a close, and that they are, the new consoles will probably be out within the next 2-3 years.
Actually, next year, in 2020.
Hopefully, but
Well-
we've seen pushbacks before.
Yeah. Well, this is the hardware. I mean, they can push out a hardware, no problem. It's also their updates down the line to make things better.
Yeah.
But yeah, we looked at the new Xbox. Right now, it's called Project Scarlet. There's not much known about it. PlayStation 5, which is going to be called a PlayStation 5. It's, I think, confirmed from Sony.
I would assume so.
There's some specs because there's been some photos and specs from the developer kit, which is not going to look exactly. It's not going to look like the commercial product.
Of course.
It's not great looking, but it's a dev kit.
But the big news that's been coming out of it, and surprisingly, I haven't heard negative. Doesn't mean it's not out there or it hasn't come yet, but it wasn't out the gate, which was kind of surprising. Was that the PS5 was going to be all digital,
Which is a big thing.
very big, very very big. Now, whether or not that means that there's not going to be SD cards or thumb drives, you may still be able to buy physical media. It's just not going to be disc based. Which again, that's all very intriguing. But it's one of those things where it kind of lends itself into the Android iPhone thing, where iPhone comes out with something and everyone's, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. People are like, Android, Samsung's been doing that for years.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of concept. It's
Also
the same
goes back
thing
with both ways too. It's like, oh, Apple, we know we have courage. We get rid of the headphone jack. Next year, Samsung makes fun. Year later, oh, Samsung gets rid of the headphone jack.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with the Xbox. Xbox has been, this past segment, the reason that they haven't been putting all of their energy into console exclusives is because they've been putting their energy into the gamer experience, as I've stated, and they went and did like Game Pass, which we've talked about, which is an all digital experience.
And it's actually pretty awesome. Too.
It is.
I
It's
use
actually really, really cool. You could very easily buy an Xbox. Not that you have to, which we'll get into. But you could very easily buy an Xbox and not buy any CDs whatsoever for any of your games.
Right.
So the fact that PlayStation has taken that and gone, you know what, we're just going to take the CD drive out altogether is big news, but it's also, your competitor's been doing that for
For a while.
now.
Yeah.
Good to know you're catching up.
Well, the thing is, like, Microsoft made this announcement when they first announced the Xbox One. It was this huge show. We're going to combine gaming and entertainment all in one box. That's why we call it Xbox One. Mm-hmm. It's the problem with that. It had a DRM issue where always on internet access had to be there for your games to work. Large swaths of the country and globally do not really have the best internet,
Don't have that luxury.
or if internet at all. The problem is the games that you buy, $60 games that you buy, has to require a online presence that you don't have. A lot of the times, because people in soldiers overseas, they don't have access, and they're FOBs. They don't have internet access except for like secured satellite where they can't play games on.
They're not gaming on that. Yeah.
Well, now their games can't work or they're on a sub. Well, you don't have internet access a mile underneath the water.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a major fail point. It was again companies being too early to the game.
Well, and it's funny because while it was a major fail point when it first came out, it is still where things are at.
Yeah,
Most games nowadays are online only.
it was a stumbling point in how they presented it. I should say.
Yeah. But the way you phrased it was right, because when it first came out, that was exactly it. Everyone's
Yeah.
like, bah, no.
So I can't, because there was a time there's someone that was a Navy officer or something that was on a sub say, well, I guess I can't play my game on the new system because I'm in a metal box
Yeah.
underneath the water. I don't have internet access.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was very interesting. And,
I can see I can see how I'm just thinking about now for the past couple hours when we're talking about it, going it without a disk drive, going to like a thumb drive. Thumb drives nowadays are easily 100, 200 gigabytes or larger, and terabytes.
yeah, I was gonna say we're getting into terabyte territory.
It's easy enough because we've been coming closer, getting hit by the brick wall of Blu-ray disc sizing issues, where the games are getting so large, you're needing multiple discs again instead of on one CD or one Blu-ray drive or
Yeah, I got you.
disc. Words are hard. So that's one stumbling point to say, okay, we're coming up against this brick wall. What's one way we can get rid of that wall entirely? Oh, let's get rid of the physical media.
Get rid of that bottleneck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also solves a problem with the internet issue. Okay, so you don't have the best internet. You may be working on, a 10.2?
There's still people on dial-up.
On dial-up, yeah. Or satellite, which is even worse.
Yeah.
So they can still have... This is all rumors. We don't know.
Yeah.
It would be great in Sony's defense. Well, if you don't have the internet, go to your local GameStop if they're still there. Or your Walmart.
Or
Target,
Amazon.
or Amazon, because Amazon actually has the capability to go everywhere. Pick up or buy a terabyte drive that has your game on it. Plug it in, and you can probably play off that drive or download it to your device, your
You
console.
absolutely can, because I've actually got an external drive on my Xbox that I store a lot of the games, because I've slowly gone more digital. And while there is some latency in some games, especially when it comes to online only games, use Sea of Thieves, for example.
Which
there
is, if you like Sea of Thieves, join our crew.
there are buffering times
Yeah.
where I'll be playing and all of a sudden it'll skip, and stutter. And having the game locally on the system cuts that out.
Right.
So there is that still transfer rate between, but if you were to run more of a thumb drive or more of a SD card, the transfer rates are can be a little bit better, because
yeah,
you're
it's
not
also because
necessarily
it's-
going through USB 2.
Yeah, hopefully they go to the latest version of 3. But it's also working off, because I don't know if your Xbox has a mechanical drive or if it's an SSD.
I don't
Then again, because
remember,
there's
yeah.
speed issues between the two
Yeah.
technologies.
Absolutely. So I mean, there is absolutely that difference regardless. But so you have the Game Pass aspect that Microsoft and Xbox has been working on and developing, and kind of tying into that, although not reliant on it, is instead of developing the big hit exclusive games, they've done kind of an opposite way, and have done a I just slipped the name, the Play Anywhere. There we go.
Okay.
They've taken games, and it's not all games, it's still early in that development, but still they've gone this way, and they have done it where it's a Play Anywhere title. And basically what that means is if you buy the digital version of the game, you can play it on Xbox or you can play it on PC. And basically what they've done, and it makes sense for people if you think about it, because Microsoft,
It's
taking
Microsoft,
Xbox out, that is, Microsoft is Windows, and is that interface. So instead of people you always hear the PC master race, the PC gamers, and you have your console gamers.
Plebes, yeah.
You've taken the world, and you've kind of gone, come here. they've embraced
Great big,
everybody.
old, warm hug.
Yeah.
Like, we're all together.
So now, and you don't no longer for the people that had both, that had gaming PCs and had consoles. Now, instead of having to buy a game on both systems and spending double the money, Microsoft is technically losing out because you buy it once and you have it on PC, you have it on Xbox, like you have that. So that's something that they didn't have to do, but that they are, they have done, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I think the major two competitors with each other is, again, Microsoft and Sony. I am leaving Nintendo out of this because Nintendo is kind of forging their own path.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
they don't go on like portable. I need to have the best graphics for this. They're dedicating their lines to a certain audience, and which is the generalizations 18 and under.
Family friendly. Yeah.
I wouldn't say family friendly because they have a lot of couple games that are rated mature. But the hardware is capable for a family to play together around a TV or
and they've gone more portable.
Yeah, they've gone a lot.
Everything they've done recently has been focused more around portability,
which I think they had a great success with the Wii. The Wii U was kind of like a stumbling.
It was learning.
It was learning because, again, that was they're trying to incorporate a portable device. So, okay, well, this didn't work out well. Let's not worry. Let's not talk about that anymore.
Let's take what worked.
Yeah. And let's put it in the Switch. The Switch has been very successful for Nintendo.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they go and say, okay, what about the Game Boy? What's so great about the Game Boy? Because it's extra portable. Let's go ahead and get rid of the Game Boy and replace it with the Switch Lite, which is basically the Switch that you can't take the Joy-Cons off of.
Gotcha.
And there is no option to plug it into a TV or anything. It's a truly portable device. Roughly almost the same price, but hey, it's your money.
Yeah. But what's neat about the Play Anywhere aspect of it is Microsoft's now taking it a step further. It's going to be interesting to see if this is going to be the stumbling block or if this is going, because it's very soon. While the Play Anywhere is successful, and I don't see that going away because there's no reason for it to right now. This next step is where it'll be interesting, and that's where it's Project xCloud. It hasn't been released yet.
It's actually very soon. I think probably when this episode comes out, because this comes out in November, it's going to be very close, or if it's not, because Stadia would have been
at least in public beta.
Yeah, because xCloud and Stadia are really close technologies with each other. But again, it's Google, and we know how Google is.
But for those that don't know, the Project xCloud, basically what that is it will allow you to play even brand new Microsoft games. Or anything that runs within their environment, basically would be a way of putting it. But it allows you to run it off of any portable media, so even your cell phone. So if you take what games would normally need to be run off of a gaming PC or an Xbox console, and you're now running it on your cell phone, and the whole idea is that you're running it off of their equipment.
Yeah, their servers over the internet. I mean, they've claimed that latency is pretty much a non-issue. You can use an Xbox One controller with a Bluetooth capability, plug it up, or not even hook it up with your phone and use that.
You Bluetooth it to your phone.
Yeah.
And
your phone is your display.
Even before all this, they have a because you've always been able to Bluetooth to your phone. They have a snap-on adapter for the Xbox One controller that holds your phone. So you're holding this, and it's got the phone built into the adapter.
Makes it a lot easier instead of trying to find something to lean up against.
Because that way you could play your Android racing games, but use the Xbox One controller through Bluetooth. Like, they've always had that functionality. Now they're just basically adding in the ability to stream, if you will,
games that you don't need the hardware, so to speak. And then another thing is that you can play the games, I want to say, from your hardware.
Yes.
That you have.
If you have an Xbox or a gaming PC, yes, you can have. And that's another thing that makes it interesting. And I don't know the logistics on it because, again, it's still relatively new.
It's magic, pretty much.
But I don't know if, because the the thought process, I believe what they were going for, and I know they've advertised this in some of their keynotes, is you'll have the game, say you're playing it on your Xbox, and then family comes in and wants to watch the Xbox, so you pause your game if you can. And then you can go
I'm playing a game.
and then you can go to your laptop and unpause the game and keep going.
Right.
Or then pause it there, pull out the phone, and keep playing the exact same game. You just pause it and you go to the next one, or you just pick it up and you're right where you left off. There's no connection. There's no reloading. It's literally right where it was.
No buffering. But then again, it's all going on to how your internet connection is.
Correct.
I mean,
But
it always comes
cell
down to that.
phone. Cell phones have gotten better than
Yeah,
your
4G
internet connections. Like you can have cell phone connection and not have a good internet connection.
Yeah, 4G actually is very mature enough right now. I'm not even going to talk about 5G because that's
I was gonna say that's also being advertised around the same
Well,
time. It's coming out.
it's so far away right now. But 4G, if depending on which carrier, because I look at as Verizon, AT&T are similar in how their loadouts are. T-Mobile as a second, Sprint. Yeah, okay, you guys are cool. you can come up to the table, but cellular network has come up to a point where you can play low latency games just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can play like Overwatch. Pretty much, you can play Overwatch on your Switch through your hotspot on your phone, multiplayer, and that's no problem. And something like with a game like that, you don't need latency because you're going to lose the match. All of a sudden, you're sitting there back on spawn point, and your payload is halfway down, and people are like, "Oh, what's going on with this guy?" Well, we got AFK. Or okay, let's kick him, or this match is going to lose. we got a thrower. But it'd be interesting to see as we get closer to Project xCloud what more information, because we saw a little bit. Was it on E3?
I think it was during E3. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw a little bit on E3 when they announced or showed just a little preview of it, and then the people there were able to play, I think, one or two particular games on the hardware there, and a lot of people were saying this is actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Another thing was Stadia, Google Stadia. A lot of people said it's good, and I'll leave it at that. They say the technology is decent enough, and it's actually, if they keep working at it, they can get better. But how the general public and how us tech nerds and geeks and everything view Google nowadays is that we kind of give it like see what happens in 6 months or to a year. Let's wait. Let's not jump right in.
Not all of us. There's in the community is split between your first adapters.
There's always going to be those people that have to get it day one. There's people out there that have the Founders Edition or paid for it, and of course Google is having issues trying to send them out because they didn't expect. Oh, we have to give all two people. No, I'm just kidding. We only made one device.
Yeah.
You share between.
You got to mail it back and forth.
Yeah. But it's amazing how we go from digital gaming to where we are now.
Even just how when Xbox One first came out and the stigma between digital gaming online only to now that is the thing, that everyone wants. Like that's what we're looking for.
Supervisor.
But and that's staying on the subject, that was also when looking at the sales, this is what Microsoft's been building towards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
well, that's what they're focusing on. Their R&D department is not just games, and we're talking about Microsoft money. That is billions upon billions. Probably Microsoft is worth more than Apple. Like their company net worth is like several, like I want to say they are the first one to go into the trillion market value.
I honestly don't know.
But they're working with gobs of money. I mean, Scrooge McDuck kind of money. So they can go ahead and say, okay, let's go ahead and research, because we're doing the adaptive technology, and that's a really awesome thing that they're doing.
That's the other thing that Microsoft's been putting all their time and effort into is that playability for all gamers.
Yeah, it's just not gamers. It's all gamers because we've done an episode for the adaptive controller, and which is a great piece of tech. I mean, it's simple when you look at it and break it down. I mean, it's very simple how it's done, but
The
it's
idea
designed,
behind it is very simple. Yeah.
and it's something that they've decided to do. Sony still, to this day, hasn't come out with anything or even mentioned.
At least that we're aware of. Nothing's
They
publicly
might
made
with
available.
the PS5, but I looked at it and they said that it's just an updated DualShock controller. So far, I mean, this is early days because it's still coming out late 2020. Holiday 2020 is pricing. Of course, it's going to be $500 to $600.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be an all AMD system, so it's going to be 8-core AMD Zen CPU and a GPU is AMD as well. There again, they're saying it's going to be a 4K Blu-ray player. I mean,
We'll see.
yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, they're looking at 4K visuals at 120 hertz. Oh, that's so cute. We're looking at already in PC Master Race. We're already 300 plus. Get good, noob.
So, but it's interesting to see where people really focus, because again, the whole thing that started this conversation is that people are looking at the overall sales of PlayStation versus Xbox, and the fact that PlayStation has such a lead in sales over the Xbox that because the new consoles are already coming out, there's no way that the Xbox is going to be able to catch up, let alone surpass.
I think it's been that way since the beginning.
It's been that way at least for quite some time, but there's always been that, oh, there's a possibility. Oh, there's still time. There's been no talks about the next console, so there's still time. Well, now the new consoles are coming out.
Yeah, next year, yeah.
So there's definitely no time. So it's kind of like, okay, this is it. Too late. They've been lapped. So it's interesting to see, but then when you take that kind of step back and you go, okay, you're right. PlayStation has absolutely outsold the Xbox.
Right.
Does that mean that it's better? No. Because if you look at the reasons behind
Some
it,
PlayStation loyalists would say,
well,
yeah, it's better.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you always have those people that are Xbox loyalists and PlayStation loyalists.
Of course. Yeah, there's always that segmentation. But when you take that step back, while yes, you could say that the PlayStation is better, if you're somewhat level-headed, you should also take a look at it and go, Microsoft hasn't taken their big hit console exclusives and stuck to that methodology of saying, nope, you have to buy an Xbox to play this game. Instead, they've gone, you're on computer, you're on Xbox, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here's a game that you guys can play. We're going to make sure that the people with handicaps, you guys can play. You know what I mean? Like, they're putting all their time and effort into making games more fun and accessible for everyone, whereas Sony's been like,
There's just game focus.
ours,
Yeah.
stay here.
Okay, Smeagol.
Yeah, precious.
My precious games.
So
Stupid
of
hobbitses.
course, because yes, I will give it, there are some really cool big name titles that have come out since the PlayStation 4 has been around that you had to buy. And there's even been quite a few times, because I've played both systems. I enjoy both systems. I'm just, most of the people I play with are on Xbox, so that's why I'm an Xbox person. But there have been quite a few times where I'm like, maybe I should look at getting a PlayStation 4 because of the few titles that they've had.
Well, yeah, it's like there are a few titles. Like I would love to play The Last of Us, but I am not going to go out and spend the money, the couple $100s, and get a console just for one game. And what if I don't like it? Well, guess what? I'm out $500 plus. The $300 plus the $60 for the title itself.
Well, take it easy. You're not necessarily out that, because you could trade it into GameStop and get like $20 back.
20, I get $5. This GameStop we're talking about here. You're lucky to get 5. maybe put in a store credit for a Funko Pop or something. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you look at it, it's like, I want to play this game, but I look at the monetary front end that I would have to put in to just play this one title. Where with Microsoft's side, oh, I would like to play Forza Horizon. Okay, well, I don't have an Xbox. Oh, guess what? I can get Game Pass and download it on my computer and start playing it within an hour.
You don't even have to get Game Pass. You could still
I
just
can still buy it.
buy the game
Yeah.
and play it on your computer. And
But
the
the
nice
thing,
part
but the
is
thing is
if-
that I can pay the $5, which I pay for Game Pass for PC each month. If I don't like the game, I'm out $5 for that one game.
for that month, really.
For that month.
Yeah, and you
Now
can,
I can play Sea of Thieves. I can play Forza. I can play. I think Sniper Elite is on it.
it's Sniper Elite,
There's a whole bunch of games that if I don't like any of those games, I'm out $5.
Outer Worlds that's
Outer
coming
Worlds
out.
is on it. Yeah. So again, I'm out $5 if I don't like any of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm that type of person that hates everything. That I'm out $5. That's the thing. It's the barrier of entry is so low.
Yeah, and the other part that's also nice about it is, let's say your daughter comes to you and goes, "Hey, I want to get a console." You know what I mean? I want to get a console for my room to play games in, let's say.
Let's not give her an idea. She's already asking for TV.
But if she did, you're going to be more apt to go with the Xbox route, because now you could buy the Xbox, plug it in her room, and any game you've got through Game Pass,
Yeah,
or bought
download it
digitally that
onto
has
that
the
unit.
play anywhere capability, she now has access to, and you don't have to buy the game again.
Actually, that's giving me a good idea. Hopefully, my wife is not watching or
Or listening.
listening. Sorry, honey. No, you did not hear anything. This is not the show you were looking for.
Careful. Our viewers feel the same way.
No. Oh, self-depreciating. But yeah, it's just the barrier of entry is just wildly varies. I can see PlayStation has a lot of fans, and they have a lot of games that people would clamor to buy just the console and to get that one game.
Yeah.
There are so many out there that they will do that. Xbox, like we mentioned before, there are some exclusives, but they're not like touted
They're not
as
solely exclusive to the console.
exactly, because you can play on your PC as long as you have Windows, you can play it.
Yeah. So
If you
while
wanted.
you could, while the the PlayStation people could be like, well, they did bring out those Microsoft exclusives. Yes, but you didn't have to buy an Xbox to play it.
Yeah. And I'm thinking because I saw an article not this week that Sony is trying to get rid of PlayStation View, their TV streaming side of things, because I'm thinking that they're losing a lot of money on that. So they're trying to divest into just gaming solely. That's it.
I think I had heard rumors that Microsoft was going to do the same thing with their next console. They were going to take the media aspect of it away.
Well, actually, just in the latest Windows update, they took out the mixer streaming out of the game bar, because there are programs, because we use for this show, we use OBS. There's 3 other options of software that you can easily use that are free or low cost. There's one that's expensive, but there are options where Microsoft is looking at it and saying, you know what? Why are we spending the money to do it this way? Xbox, you can easily stream, plug in a webcam, and you're good to go, straight from the console itself. PC side is a little bit harder, but there's
PC.
options.
It's always harder on PC. That's why you stick with console.
No. You see, my son, you are wrong. You have been led astray, my son. You're learning. You're ascending. You got a laptop finally.
Yeah.
You're getting there. You're getting big boy pants on.
Hey, we've been over this.
That's a whole nother topic. Another show that we've done before, but this is like a callback show. But it's just one of those things where we look at digital gaming as a whole is actually growing up to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to get your guys' feedback on how you feel about the consoles and all that good stuff.
If you have, like, what are you, a PlayStation or Xbox side of things? What do you want? So you can always check us out on our Facebook groups and our Twitters and We don't have. Yeah, we have Instagram.
Yeah.
I haven't done it much on it, but we will have more on it. All the links you can find at the collective.network. It's our old episodes are there, plus through YouTube and our links through transistor.fm. And if you got anything to send us, we'll love to hear it.
Absolutely.
Until then, next episode, we'll catch you guys later.